Welcome back to the Founder Content Studio podcast. Today's founder was Javier Rebollo, and Javier is the founder of Okapolio. So in this episode, we talk about a lot of engineering, a lot of coding, a lot of how to manage coders, how to manage programmers. We also talk about the entrepreneurial journey and how quickly it can spiral into good things, bad things, and how you shouldn't wait too long to basically chase after the things that you want. Me and Javier had probably a very lengthy discussion about the price you pay for waiting too long. So stay tuned. He talks all about his company, all about the mistakes he made, all of the great things that his company's doing. And this one is a good one. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Cool. And we're live. So Javier, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Pretty busy day.
Yeah.
Always time for one thing more, as usual.
You're in, last time we spoke, you're in London, right? Just to be sure.
Yes, I'm in London.
How do you find life in London? Whereabouts are you?
Well, so we are not specifically allocated in London. I work in London, but I'm living in Leighton Buzzard. That is a little town, north of London.
Yep.
So much better for family life and not London.
Yeah, and you work in London at Bally's,
Yes,
right? So
I'm working in London. Yeah. So
what kind of you commuting daily or like weekly? What's that looking
No,
like?
I have normally I go to 1 day per week. So that's the schema that I'm following at the moment.
Yeah.
So then normally go to there Monday. That is when the less people is going to London to work. So then the train is a little less busy and everything is going more smooth.
Nice. Well, because this is the Founder Content Studio podcast, we should probably talk about a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and how it started. So for people that don't know, you're from a technical background.
Yes.
And let's just have an overview from how you started in code and what that first looked like, how you first jumped into that kind of into that technical background.
Well, so to be honest, it was a really weird start, right? Because in my town or in my country, so we usually have one lessons in the school that is all of the relation with all of the IT stuff and this kind of things, right? So then when I was 12, 13 or something like that, they show me one thing that is whole introduction to coding, right? It was really basic, just HTML, and they just write a couple of sentences in code, and then we open a web page that we can see some text moving from the screen, right? So what? We can do that with just a couple of them. Then I fall in love with that. So
and
then I started
how old were you there? Sorry, did you say you were 12?
I was 13 or 14 or something like that.
Okay.
So
and where is that? Whereabouts in the world?
So this one is in Seville when I was living. So you have some in the school, like you have some different topics for school, right? So this is one IT, and you have a lessons where they explain a couple of things.
Yeah.
So related with IT, and then was the coding. The point was that was really amazing. See how with a couple of words you can do this kind of stuff. I was maybe 14 years old or something like that.
Yeah, and then how did that carry on, and how did that progress? So that's not something you can really, is that something you can carry on throughout the whole of your school life? And then what happens then when you leave school in Seville? Did you go to university in Spain as well?
Yes, we have something like school. We have the school, we have the high school. The high school is like mixing like middle school that I have in UK and the high school, both of these together. So after that you can go to the college or whatever you want to go, to the university and these kind of things. So it's pretty similar.
Yeah. And what did you study then at university? Would you?
So I never go to the university because I always, learn from myself almost everything. And when I arrive to the age to go to the university, I have, quite a lot of experience in coding. That is when I want to work, right? So then this is why I decided on to go and just, have more experience, right?
Yeah.
I did one things that is, it's called modulos in Spain. That is like a one grade, but less years, right? So you have a mid that is 2 years, like um, before to start the university, and then you have another 2 years that is for one specific things, right? I did the beginning for IT and 2 years more for coding. But to be honest, was more like because my grandma was teacher, and in that moment I was living with her, and she always, wanted all of this career about, regular study, go to university, get a good job, and this kind of things, right? So and then to say, okay, let's do something in the middle, right? So this is why I go there. So, but yeah, it was quite nice.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I was kind of in the a similar position where I was like, I could go to university, but then I was like, do I really want to get into a load of debt? Do I really want to? Because I don't know what it's like in Spain, but in England, it's a little bit of a booze up, meaning that you go there for your first year, you drink a lot of alcohol, you don't really learn much. You lose lots of brain cells. You make
Yeah,
some really good friends. The second year, you have to then study a little bit. You still drink too much, and then the third year, it's like you're drinking a little bit less, you're partying a little bit less, and you're cramming in more and more work. But there's still a lot of drunken nights, and then
yeah,
before you know it, you're like done,
yeah.
and then you're in £50,000 worth of debt, and then
Yeah.
you've got to be then you're shifted off into the workforce, saying good luck. That's pretty much how it is in the UK. Is it similar in Spain with that kind of culture?
Yes, we have something similar, but it's a public system. The majority of times you pay some fees, but it's not too much. So all of the these parties are almost free, we can say, right? Depending of how much you study, you have a part that is paid for stay and this kind of thing. So it's something that is quite accessible for almost everyone that want to study. That's a good point, right?
Yeah.
So the only problem that we can say is that in some specific parts, right? For example, not parts, some studies like IT or this kind of things, um, the all of this part, grow a lot in quite a lot of really small time, right?
Yeah.
So the point is that when you start to study one thing, and when you finish, it's deprecated, right? So and then that's I think that is the problem. At least in UK on some IT stuff, is more valuable the experience that you have, not just how many details you have, right? So that's, for example, for coding and stuff on this kind of things is when I do some interviews that I did a lot in the past. It's more valuable, for example, to say do this exercise, and no one never asked me, hey, what is the your college that how much time you take it, or what is your notes for that, all those kind of things, right? Never no one asked me about that, right? It's just that's why I decide that it's more valuable that and not just go to college.
I definitely think for specific careers, I think it's definitely a place. Obviously, if you
Yes,
want to be a doctor
absolutely.
or a nurse or something like that, I think
Yeah,
then obviously it's a must. But I think
yeah,
there's a lot of like BS, like bullshit degrees out there, that
yes,
just it's kind of crazy that they're even allowed to do that when it doesn't even set you up to really contribute in society. And
yes,
okay, some people might say that, well, going to university and learning how to learn
yeah,
is something, and employers look for that because it shows something. But yeah, I think there is a better way of doing it, of going out into the
yeah,
workforce, getting the exposure to the thing you want to do. What could possibly be better than that?
yeah. And the reality is exactly that, right? So you can feel that when you arrive there, you are learning some stuff. It's good to learn, but the way that you learn is quite straightforward, right? So someone tell you learn this, and this. When you arrive to your, I can speak about my specific role and say solve this problem. You can check in internet, but you need to find how to do it, right? So it's something that no one teach you how to do it. So this
Yeah.
just do this, do this. This is the books. Read this book or read this, right? So now is everyone can learn almost everything, right? Yeah, because when I, for example, I would start to learn coding was in 2015 or something like that. No, sorry, 2005, right? Something like that. I was 15, and it was the same times that YouTube was founded, right? So now I the only way that is the old school way, right? That is books and this kind of things. That's why it would take me like 3 years, something like that, to start to learning and start to work, we can say, in some company to do this, because was more boring, or I was doing in my free time because I was doing my regular learning in that moment, right? So it was just like a hobby, we can say. But now, in 2 months, you do a quite workshop or whatever in really high quality training in the internet, and that takes 2 months, and you are coding really well, right? So now is completely different. It's much faster. So the value that the college, for example, got to have in IT, for example, at least that you are doing some specific parts of IT, like research or something like that, that you are in this continue in the university and this kind of thing, yes, makes sense, right? But if you are a regular job that is for one company, go there and that's it, don't make any sense, right? So I think that is something that is quite good now, right? That everyone can access quite.
Absolutely.
Fast.
I think it's pretty crazy how like the online education space has changed so much in 10 years. Like now with the amount of information, on Google, and the amount of information you can get from ChatGPT or other large language models is incredible. Like I really think, I feel a little bit for the people coming up now, because it's changed so rapidly. I can remember barely even being able to get onto the internet. How you'd have to learn something was like go to the library, read an encyclopedia kind of thing, and then the internet burst onto the scene, and then we have all of this information at our fingertips, and it's just crazy. And then, as you said, with the online education space, I kind of feel that universities, colleges, in some respect, are going to be shrinking and shrinking.
Yes.
Because of the amount of, well, first of all, quality free information that you can get. And then the online space of learning as well. It is so good. It's crazy. It really is. But that sort of takes me on to then, how did you start getting into building your own company then? What was the first company you ever started? What did that look like? And what made you even decide you wanted to do it?
To be honest, I did a lot of things, right? So but as official company registered like that, I found 2 of them. One of them was the company that is still working now, that in that moment was Omnisoft. Now is Okapolio, that is bringing all of these IT services related with software. But we did another company more that is with 3D printers, because it was almost the same time. I saw some videos on the internet, this kind of things, and we built the first, the 3D printer in that moment. So I think that is not too much information, not too much 3D printer in Spain in that moment when I did it. So that's the 2 things that we built. So the 3D printer, the problem that we have is that you need to have skill to sell, what I don't have it at the moment. So, but the software, I love to do that, and it's something that I really good in that point, and then I continue with that. But the 3D printer was really, really bad. I found it with a couple of friends there. The point, I remember that the first moment that we arrived to one place to sell that 3D printer was in Spain. We have some spaces that the government put some people to teach some people that want to be entrepreneurs, right? It's like I don't know what they call it in English for that. Is incubadoras, incubators, something like that, where you Yes, you can go there and explain. So, and then they have a massive 3D printer that costs hundreds of thousands of pounds. Was really, really expensive, and they have it there for engineers, right? So that they want to build something, and they create there, and that's it. So we tell them, yeah, we have a 3D printer. I say, no, we don't have one. We have one. I say, okay, that's fine. We can see it. Yeah, yes, go there. And they try to show us this 3D printer, right? So they show us some tools that they created. I say, oh, that's good. How much time take? Oh, they take not too much, about 20 hours to print this tool. So, oh, nice. Have a good quality. And how much cost? And that printer, I say, oh, this cost like, I don't know how much, but it was, insane. And say, we sell some printer, 3D printer. And they say, oh, really? Give me the quality. This is the quality. And we have one tool that in that moment is pretty similar what they have there, right? So I say, oh, nice. How much time take to print? I say, 2-3 hours. What? 2-3 hours? Oh, it should be really expensive. No, it's like £1,000. What? £1,000? And they was like, yeah, but I don't believe you, right? So let me show you how. We sell one there, but at that moment, this was the only space that we did, right? So we tried to, sorted all of the stuff to sell more. But to be honest, we don't have the capacity or the skill at that moment to do that. That's the only clients that we get to sell that.
That's normally the way for technical people is
yes.
that they don't they say that in a startup you need the three main people. It's like the technical guy, the operations guy, and then normally the commercial sales guy are the three big heads that you need. And that is us. I was actually on LinkedIn today speaking or reading a post about that is a deadly combination. Somebody that is extremely technically gifted, but also has the commercial aspect and can sell. It's a very rare combination that comes naturally. But if somebody can do that, they end up being, I don't know who's a good example of that in modern day. I don't really feel like Elon Musk is like that, but there are some modern day examples of people like that.
That's the thing. It's so hard to find some because the mindset is pretty different, right? So the skills that one people that is technical develop is completely different of what someone that sell things or manage is develop, right? So, and the point is that in the career of developer, so in some moment you need to merge that and you need to learn it, right? So, but when you are in these states, like a founder, young founder, this kind of thing is so hard to find something like that. So, one error that some of the founders that I know in the past take is things that they need to have, as you mentioned, all of them together at the same time, right? So, sometimes it's more valuable have the idea that this guy got to have and find in the external parts someone that can supply. Don't need to be a partner itself, right? So, but you need to someone that teach you how to do the things or pointing in the right direction. For example, so imagine that you want to have a really amazing idea, right? But you have not clue about all of the technical stuff. So what
that
the people
sounds very familiar for me. That's I have loads of good ideas, but I don't know how to do any of them because they're all software based.
Yes. Then you have the problem that normally the founder have is I need a partner or I need to learn these two things, right? I need a partner or I need to learn. The problem that you have is that the partner that is able to do that probably don't have the skill that you need to build that you want to build, right? And that's the first problem with the technical spark. Or you want to learn, you never is going to learn as fast as you want to achieve that knowledge to do for yourself. But happen the same with the opposite, right? That is the people that have technical skill, like me, for example, someone, and want to sell something. And I need a partner. No one is going to join, no one. I mean, so it's so hard to find someone that have this skill and is going to join for free to sell your idea that is try to build from scratch. It's much better try to save a bit of money and try to put in a trusted company that can follow you and guide you where you need to do. And then when you raise this money, hire someone that can do it properly, right? So this is that is the CTO, CEO, a lot of C stuff, right? So, and the point is that we want to supply it from scratch at that moment. And this is, I think, that is one of the major error or mistakes that one founder got to have. That is try to find someone in really early stage, because who is joining probably is going to have someone that have not the needed skill. If you are lucky, you got to have, and then it's amazing, right? But it's so hard. I think that is much better to find another way, right?
Yeah, if you can hire a service or you can hire, yeah,
Yes.
like hiring anybody, even if they're just part-time, but they're highly skilled in something, and you
Yes.
don't have to give them, the partner equity kind of
Yeah.
thing, because uh, well, I've actually made that mistake before where I've joined as like a co-founder into like a company, like a very early startup, and I was the commercial guy. And like you want like if you come in as a co-founder, you want equal stakes. Even
Yes.
though you didn't come up with the idea, for some reason you think because you're a co-founder you deserve like equality basically.
Yeah.
And I've had bad bad experiences in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, they didn't go the way that we wanted it to go. And it kind of fizzled out in the end, as many startups do. And that's actually a point that people don't really think about when they start that like entrepreneurial journey, is that, like 8 out of 10 businesses probably go under within the
Yeah.
first 2 years.
Yeah.
Like it's so normal. We only really hear about the, that one 22-year-old that started that company and now it's worth 400 million and he sold it and he's sat in Ibiza in his penthouse. You only
Yes.
hear those stories. You don't hear of the 3,000 other ones that same day that went out of business. You just
Yeah.
don't hear about it.
And the point is that this is something that is quite bad because the people just take a look TikTok or some videos or whatever. Hey, I did this. If with only what this and you sell this one in only 2 weeks, you are going to have a profit of 10K per week, right?
Yeah.
So it looks easy, right? And then this is really bad because the people that is working really, really hard try to find something they feel that is doing something bad, right? Or then start to be demotivated. Or they say, man, I'm doing something bad. I don't know what they're doing, but normally they have doing things bad, right? That's the way to learn. So and I think that is more valuable. Try to build yourself in terms of do something, file, and until arrive at that point that you have the knowledge to do this stuff, and not just think that you are doing, in the bad way because the people that is in the TikTok with, barrow
Yeah.
Lamborghinis tell
Yeah.
you that you are doing something wrong, right?
And those guys are normally trying to sell you anything anyway, in my
Yes.
experience. And when I was younger, I was an absolute sucker for that stuff. Honest to
Yeah.
God, I would like if I saw somebody on YouTube saying, oh, just watch this video and I'm earning 10 grand a month because I started this agency thingy.
Yeah.
I would fall for that every time, and I'd be all in for it. And I would be, then I would be thinking, 2 months in, 3 months in, why aren't I getting the same results as this person? Like,
Yes.
I can see all these other people that are apparently, quote unquote, doing it,
Yeah.
but it's all again to get attention so they can normally push you to a course or
Yes.
into their funnel or capture
Exactly.
your email. And when I was like 19, or sorry, a bit older than that, like 24, I was none the wiser. I
Yeah.
just, what do they call it? A get rich quick scheme. That's it. But I can guarantee you, I didn't get rich quick.
Yeah. Well, I have to feel the same. So that's what I think that is more. You have two options, right? So you have the option that you start really young with any support or your family or whatever, and you invest everything you have. You are supported for your family or whatever to continue living and file and file and file, right? So then you are going to do much quicker, right? Much faster. You are going to arrive much faster than the rest. But when you have not that resource, that for example is my case, what I did is try to invest what I have, try to do it. But when I file, I need to find a regular job, right? So, and in parallel, try to continue as much as I can. But I need to have this another regular job, right? And doing my best, try to merge two. This is exactly my vision now, right?
Yeah.
So I have I have more than two jobs. So, but the point is that I have this, maybe because I was really young, my parents teach me in this one. I have a really strong, this feeling of responsibility, right? So then when I'm working in one company, in this case is Valis. So when I work it there, I do my full hours there, right? So no distraction, nothing. Maybe every 2 months I receive one call, but I need to take it and take me 10 minutes. But this is something really, really, break of 10 minutes every 2 months, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's not something that is disturbing me in any point. But you need to find a way to do that, right? Because I have family and I need to support them. I need to make sure that my children are comfortable. I'm paying my mortgage, I'm paying everything, right? So then I need to be fully commitment with my regular job. But I want to do something else, right? So that's what I will try to sort it out my time to make sure that I can have time for my wife, my children's, but at the same time for my business, right? So then for example, my schema is I wake up really early, really early, like 6, something like that. I spend like 1 hour to prepare everything that I need to do, something like that. And after that, I prepare the breakfast for the kids and prepare all of it for school and go back. And then I start at 9, something like that, my regular job. Do it until 5:30, something like that. So then I finish. Then I start with my kids all the time, right? So, and then go to the bed like 8:30, something like that. Anyways, I take almost 2 hours working. So my average is 3 hours, something like that, in my business when my kids are sleeping or before they wake up. Right? That's the intention. That is how I try to manage everything. But for example, one thing that is really really good is work from home. That's give me my entry life, right? Because I was working from home from 2016. Now it's true that it's more common, we can say. But I started to work from my son born exactly for this reason. Why? Because when they are in school, it's fine. I work it fully, and that's it. I don't take any rest, any break. I fully work. But when they are home, maybe I take 10 minutes or something like that every hour or something like that, or 5 minutes every 30 minutes. And I spend these 5 minutes, hey, I want to play with you. And I play, with the toys or whatever, just 5 minutes, right? But then I recover myself and try to come back again to the work. But these little breaks that I can have, I can be there all the time. Quite often, for example, they come to me, they sit down with me. I have I have 3 screens. I put some, cartoons in one of them. They are sitting down with me, and I calling, are doing something, stuff, reading emails, writing emails, or whatever, and they are with me watching here. So we don't spend this time together. It's not necessary to be playing or whatever, but we can feel that it's close and these kind of things. I think that try to find this balance that you can pay your bills, make sure that you can pay the bills, support your family, and this kind of things. But at the same time, try to follow your dreams and try to build something that really passionate you. So it's going to take more time, probably, but at least you are more, secure, right? So take less risk, we can say.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny where you're at right now. I feel that I'm on a very similar trajectory, obviously in a different field, but working a 9 to 5 job. I'm like a head of sales for a company, trying to do my business on the side. I'm a little bit more, I don't want to say fortunate, but I don't have the stress at the moment having to deal with or having to think about, two great kids that come with, time and energy and effort that you just said you have to put into them.
Yeah.
So I can see myself actually on that same trajectory. And like, how do you then organize your time? Because that's one thing. So like you were saying that you have like 3 hours a day basically. And how do you then organize that into, okay, what is the most important thing I can do with my time? Because you have to be extremely strict.
Yes. So my company, because I have this Okapolio company that is where I do all of this stuff, but I have some startups that I co-founder or this kind of thing. So I need to attend as well, right? So for Okapolio is almost self drive, right? So for Okapolio, at the moment, for example, the only moment that I take is try to respond some clients, so some emails or whatever, because the rest of the communication and everything is through project managers or whatever. So to me, the only time that I take is some meetings maybe or whatever really, really early morning, because our client normally is not in this time zone, and then I try to sort it out in that way, or in the early night because we have clients in US, so in this kind of things. So we try to sort it out in that way to make sure that I can cover that this one. And the first point of contacts, the first time is me try to present it, because we try to always be transparent with them, try to transmit this trusted and this kind of things. I want to make sure that the first person that I meet is me in the company, right? So, and that's what I normally said. So read emails, that's the important things, but the rest of the things I try to delegate to the people, right? So my intervention for all of the companies is just emails, contact people, and this kind of things, and as much as I can delegate all the things that I can. So that's the only way that you can manage all of this stuff. Just with the important things that they don't know how to manage, they contact me and I try to help. But I try to find good people that can do it for me. That's the key, right?
Okay.
So because if not, it's impossible to be everywhere. Your margin, my margin of profit is really reduced, but I can have that is going to try to grow a little more, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing at the moment. For example, Okapolio is what I'm trying to invest more now in terms of resources, not of time, about money to try to hire people. Because from these last 12 years, we never ever try to search clients. All of the clients that come to us is clients from the word of mouth. So these people that come from referral from other people. We have a referral program that give you the 10% of in credits for a company for the projects that you want to build. For example, imagine that you refer one guy, this guy hired to us 10K in projects, you get 1K, right? So to expand with us. So, and that's really worked really well with us. So then we never find, but the problem is that we have maybe, I don't know how many clients per year, not too much, like 5, 7, something like that, not more. So it's really, slow growth company. But now I want to put more investment because I think that I arrived the moment that I want to invest more there, grow it, and try to leave the rest of the things when I can, and just put the focus in this company. And now we try to invest people that can find that client for us. So I think that delegate is key. So for manage all of the stuff at the same time, if not, it's impossible.
Do you think at some point you'll have to? Because I always think about that transition point, and I'm actually kind of in that transition point right now, where it's the leap of faith. Where do I take the leap of faith and leave the leave the safety blanket of the corporate job, where I'm very comfortable and a decent wage, but I sometimes think that safety blanket is actually holding me back on the growth of the company, because I'm like you, I can only spend a certain amount of hours per day on growing the company and putting the money that I earn from my corporate job into my company. And I sometimes think moving on to a 4 or 3 day work week to test it out a little bit more might be a good testing point. Do you think that you'll ever take the full leap of faith? And is that even, do you think that's even possible, or is that too much of a risk?
Absolutely. So I think that is something that, is putting maybe the brake to continue growing the company much faster. But the point is that I'm a person that I'm really worried about everything, right? So if I need to, sleep without know if I can pay my mortgage next month, I am going to sleep well. So it's going to create me a psychology impact really high to consider that change. But it's absolutely true. So the point is that, but it's not something with that. So if you don't have nothing, you are going to put your best to make sure that this works, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely, you are going to grow much, much faster. But always you have this, but what happened if, right? So, and this if is too much to pay psychologically for my point of view, right?
But
so
you have 2 kids to worry about,
exactly.
like I can be a bit more selfish in that decision because I have a
Exactly.
mortgage, but it's not, I don't have to worry about children, like
Yes.
we will be, worst comes to worst, we could move in with my girlfriend's parents for
Yeah.
example, like
Yeah.
if shit really hit the fan, that's what we would probably do. But yes, right, carry on.
No. It's nothing. So it's absolutely. So I completely agree. So I think that probably one was one of my major mistake when I was young. that I was not take that risk at the moment that I can take the risk.
Yeah.
Right? Because now I cannot. But when I was Marjan, it's completely fine, right?
Yeah.
So because when I found my these two companies, I was living with my grandma, right?
Yeah.
So what is the problem, right?
You've got nothing to lose, right? That's
Exactly.
I think if people, like, I'm not saying that you were at the bottom, but like
Yeah.
when when you don't have anything to lose,
Yeah.
like you're actually, people should reframe that, like from thinking, oh, like, woe is me, like what's going on, like if they just reframe that a little bit in their minds and think, actually, what have I got to lose for going for this? I think that's a
Yeah.
powerful reframing of the way you look at things.
Exactly. So that's exactly the point, right? So when you don't nothing to lose, it's much easy to take that risk, right? So, but at the same time, when you taking the risk and lose everything, we can say that you lose this, afraid about lose, right? Because you know that you can always recover. So I hear a lot of really rich people that say, yeah, I break down, or I don't know what's the word in English for that. So I think this, you lose all your money, right?
Go
So
bankrupt or something.
bankrupts, exactly. So you have a bankrupt 3 times, and you say, how you can manage that, man? So how do you have some, family, you can say, how you manage that you're bankrupt? And seems that, the people don't want to pass with that, seems that it's not as bad as you can imagine, right? So you're absolutely really bad, for sure, for them, but always they can recover, right?
Yeah.
So, and every bankrupt is a huge lesson, right? That they can learn to continue growing. And I think that is key. The problem is that some people, like me, is too afraid about this kind of situation when you have people that depend on you, like children or whatever.
Yeah, that
So,
changes the situation completely.
yes.
Completely. But let's talk about the company a bit more in depth, because I feel like we haven't had the chance to really dive into that yet. We got pretty deep there for a second. But tell me, okay, so like if you were to tell me, and imagine I know zero about your company, and what would you tell me that you guys offer and do then? So explain it from the start.
So I think that we can offer is be this CTO, right? That you don't have, right? Or build this software that you need, but trusted. So in point, like, for example, I think that is much easier to explain with example. So when the people have not technical knowledge and try to buy some stuff, they don't know exactly what is important in software, right? So we have a lot of companies, a really good company, but a lot of them as well is really bad. They just want to sell, get money, and that's it. So I think that we have, or profit or margin or what we get is really low comparing with what we're doing, right? So because we try to do is help entrepreneurs as much as we can to build really high quality software that they can escalate, right?
And
Because
is this for people? Sorry to interrupt. Is
no,
this for people that have an idea then? So imagine I have an idea for an app.
Yeah.
And I'm the sales guy, I'm the commercial guy, I've got this grand idea, but then I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to build this?
Yes.
So then basically I would come to you and say, Javier, I've got this amazing idea, but I don't know how to build it.
Yes.
And then you would then tell me, fantastic, get your wallet out.
That's the 99% of the clients that we have, right? So, and that's what we think that we are more valuable, because what we try to make you understand is what means MVP, right? So we get your idea and we turn it in an MVP with really high quality foundations. That is the most important thing, right? So why? Because it doesn't matter if you have one feature less that you can build later, right? We need to make sure that you have really high quality scooter before to build a Ferrari, right? So that's key, because if you have a really high quality foundation that you can escalate, it's easy. But when you have a really bad foundation and you try to escalate, arrive one point that you cannot escalate more. And then is when the company fails. Because as you know, when you are startup, the timing is key. And if it takes 3 months to build something because you need to redo everything from scratch, you lose a lot of things. Or a sell guy, for example, you go to one client and tell to that client, hey, I want to sell you this. I say, oh, nice, but have this feature? You say, yes, but I don't have it, right? Why? Because if you sell that feature, you are going to get one client more, right? So now the problem is how much time take to build that feature. So if you don't have a good foundation to build that feature quickly, then you have a problem, right? So, and that's why you try to, sorry. Leo,
That's good.
¿qué te pasa? Dentro de un rato, sal mientras, campeón. Sal fuera, por favor, mientras.
He was trying to join last time.
Yeah, he was to be here, so he all the time is here.
He can join if you want. It's fine.
Well, so he's a really businessman, to be honest. So he was trying to be here. I'm doing my office. I'm doing some stuff for my office, and he's here. He has one table here in front of me to work together. He's all the time here with the office.
That's great. That is.
Yeah.
That's because you're a positive influence on him. He obviously sees you working hard, and he wants to copy Dad. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the point. But returning to the topic, so the point is that when you try to build this, you need to make sure you have the flexibility to, pivot quickly, right? And that's what we offer. So right, that's what our value is, right? Because we try to first tell you exactly what part you need to put in MVP. It's not me who is going to tell you. I'm quite expert now. But for example, if you want to build a fitness app, what I'm doing is find the people that is in our company good in fitness app. It's going to tell you exactly what is the part they need to shape to make sure that you have a nice MVP to deliver in terms of what your client wants, right? Because this is the mistake, right? That the people, you think that you have an idea, you want to sell, but you don't know what the client wants, right? You have your mind what the client do, but it's better to have something small that you can plug stuff, like build a Lego, and not something in marble or that you can. It's so hard to change later, right?
Yeah. So I can imagine it being something like having an idea, and an idea is just an idea, but you need somebody to help you build the first version of it. Then once you've got the bare bones of that first version, you need to go out to the market and get some feedback, I guess, right? You need to hear what your so-called idea is like and get feedback. And then, so how much does, I know it probably varies from case to case, but how much does it start? How much does it cost to create an MVP? Like what is like, I guess that could vary.
Yeah, that rate is huge. So for example, in average, so we have clients where the cost could be like, I don't know, maybe 2K or less. And you have people that could be a little more. So, but you need to think, maybe you can say average or 5K or something like that for MVP, right? So, but depending a lot of how many things you need, or is it just a website, or is an app, or is booth, or is a backend services, or this kind of things, right? You always can escalate in that way.
Yeah.
So, but we can say average of 4 or 5K.
And with like a web application and an app application, what is the difference in what is the difference in price for those things, and what's the difference in the need for those? So I sometimes get confused why people wouldn't just go for web applications and why they actually go for apps.
So that's a really nice question. So the response is the performance, right? So that's the key. So for example, you have 3 options, right? The first option is do a web app, right? That you can do everything in web, you enter, and that's it. You don't have something to install or whatever. How this kind of things work is, this work really well, for example, with something that you are going to check sometimes, or you are going to enter and show some results or whatever. Imagine, for example, I don't know, we can say one application for sell used car, for example. It's not something that you're going to check every day, right? So it's something that you're going to go there, check it, and that's it. You don't need a huge performance for that, right? Then use a web. Then you have another options that is a cross-platform app, right? That's meaning that is one app that is one language that you can, with the same code base, you can create app for Android and iOS, right? That usually work with apps that doesn't need to have a good performance or any access to complex API. Leo, cariño, ahora mismo, por favor. So this is the complex part, right? When you need to try to do something like, we can say, access to GPS, optimized battery life, and this kind of things. They not make any sense to go with cross-platform. But for example, if you want to have some cookbooks, this one that you have as sort of recipes and this kind of things, that is just show information and that's it. That's a really nice option. Why? Because you don't need a huge performance. Just show a list, click it, and put something nice. That's it. And then you have native apps. That is when the optimization in terms of performance is coming, right? Then, for example, you have some apps that have access to map, to geolocation, where you are, try to optimize the battery in background, these kind of things. Or, for example, you need to optimize some games or 3D or something like huge amount of costs, we can say, in terms of performance for the CPU of the phone, this kind of thing. Then make more sense to do it natively, because then you need to better optimization for that, right? So this is the three maybe options that you got to have, and depend a lot of the client. That's where we come to advise to the client in terms of your idea. What is the things that is best for you, and what is the things that is escalate better for features that is coming later.
Because I can imagine somebody like me coming and say, I want to build an app, and then they give you the idea and you're just thinking, maybe you just need a web application. It would be way simpler. You actually don't need that. And then how does that conversation normally go down? Because I guess these people who have their ideas are quite stubborn, like me, and we think we know best most of the time. Is that normally a bit of a battle sometimes, or is it normally they understand that you're the expert? And
yes, so I think that we always are really, really direct, right? So because we want to make sure that the client understand. We don't sell, right? We try to help, right? So that's the thing. So I'm not going to sell you what you are looking for and get money when I know that it's something that is going to fail, right? Is not the point for a company or a culture. We want to help you, right? So for example, we have one clients that come to us and say, I have an amazing idea. So I want to build some apps or whatever, but I want to monetize that app with meaning data, right? So data that we have. I say, okay, so good. Explain a little bit more. So we have a huge database. So that's great. So how many clients do you have? Yes, well, and they try to explain me, send me a pitch, but then try to think, but how many clients you have to do this segregation? Because the idea is that have a segregation part to put some ads, depending on what is the it's like 1,000 people. You cannot do that with only that amount of people. So it's something that you cannot monetize in a good way, right? So to meaning data with these people, right, with only 1,000 people. So, and then we need to stop them and say, it's something that is not going to work, right? So if you want to follow another approach, we can explain you another approach or ways to monetize or help you, but we are not going to do that because it's something that doesn't make any sense, right? So that's, for example, where we need to try to help, right? So because sometimes people is flying in the sky thinking that they have amazing idea or whatever, and then we tend to say, man, think about this. If you think that is something that is always up to you, right? But this is the reality. This is what is coming. This is what are the things that is happening. And this is your competency, for example, that because we built something similar before or whatever. So we try always help. And one thing that we want to make sure is that this help is free. So all of these goals that we have with entrepreneurs, all of the things that we invest in time is something because it's our passion.
Yeah.
It's something that we do for free to make sure that they can, grow, right? So, and we try to, do this expertise. We only sell software, but the all of the expertise is free.
So when you're giving the advice, it's not actually paid advice. So
No.
they come to you with the idea. It's kind of like a free consultation where you talk
Yes.
about the idea, you give them honest, direct feedback.
Yeah.
And then if they want to move forward, then you obviously
Yes.
quote something up and then you start moving forward.
That's the
Have you
idea.
ever looked into a what's the model like? Gosh, my brain's just gone dead. Like an equity deal? Is that something you've ever looked into with these companies? Because some of them you must think, actually, that's a pretty good idea. Like,
Yes.
if that goes well, maybe we want a couple of % in that.
We have some people like that. So we have actually people like that we have equity and we did for free some apps or whatever. But I think that more that of the idea of potential good idea. So is depend of what the impacts that idea is going to have, right? So, for example, I have a 50%. They give me the 50%, and we do everything for free, but I don't see any money, and probably I'm not going to see for long, right? It's not in terms of investment. It's try to see help and invest in that guy. So the idea is something like it's one app, right? That you can create events. The companies or government institutions can create events. They put a money there. Like, for example, I want to create events that is RAM or whatever, or I want to games or whatever. I'm going to give £1,000, right? So, and the people can join, do it, and then we give them wallet with that amount of money, right? For example, imagine that you complete that event, we give you 100 points. That means £10, whatever. And then you can change this one. You can have a reward for that. You can go there and change it, and you can go this is in Spain, Globo, for example, that is similar to Uber Eats or this kind of thing. You can order food or whatever. So you can use for vouchers in the coffee shops or this kind of things. So, but the key of that is that all of the events should be social events, something that create a good impact to the society. So this is such a nice idea because, for example, a lot of it's like clean the beach or clean or whatever. You take a picture, do it, and someone pay you for do these good things. And the point is that you can use that money to change it for food or for make donations for any organization or whatever. So then he was trying to build 2 times the app. The 2 times, the first one take more times that they should to take and never finish it and never deliver the code, but he paid. So the second one never finished the app as well. They take almost 1 year and a half to finish, and they pay a lot of money and never come. So they say, and he's going to close the business and close because he was really, tired out of the situation. I say, man, I love your idea. I'm going to be with you. Let me do it for free. And I do it for free for create a good impact with that. This company is my winning app. This is in Spain. It's pretty nice. Have another thing that is you can sell for universities or whatever, and they create a white label apps that they can put for the university and do some stuff there only for the members of the university. It's pretty nice, but absolutely we consider
that's a really, really good idea. I imagine that kind of app would be a big hit in universities for students.
exactly.
Because most of them are, slightly liberal and very caring about everything to do with environment and all of that stuff, which is all great.
Yep.
How do they go about promoting and selling that? How do they get users for that?
So he tried, because this is a partner who is doing it. So he tried to go to the university, explain how the apps work, and try to sell them. But the point is that it's quite hard because the budget of the university is limited, and then every year you need to get it, sing out everything, and you can't fit anything else, right? So then he tried to go there, explain it. when they accept, it's pretty nice, because the point is that all of the money that the university puts is try to make sure that the members of the university can create a good impact inside of the college, right? Like, for example, clean everything, or gardens, do something in the garden, or this kind of stuff, and then reward that with budget that they can change, they can use in the coffee of the university, so they can take meals for free, or this kind of thing, right? So then you are doing something good for your community, but you have a rewards that you can use for yourself, for other stuff. You can use university, or you can use for, I don't know what's the word, is NGO, right?
Yeah.
If that you can donate this money.
I'm surprised governments wouldn't fund apps like that, because I'm thinking of refugee crises and things like that, and most of them have a smartphone.
Yeah.
And if a government invested into an app like that, and they put a pool of money into something like that, and you could take a picture of something that is broken in society,
Yeah.
and you could basically then go and fix it and get paid for it.
Yeah.
As
That's
somebody that maybe has come as a refugee, but you're highly skilled in whatever it is, or that's actually
we try to speak with big companies that can help in that way, and they can accept our budget. So, or tickets, we can say. So, for example, we have supermarkets like Mercadona, whatever, in Spain. So we try to speak with them, try to see, we are going to get that money. You can accept that money, because we are going to transfer you the money, right? Because if the council, for example, said for all of the homeless, for example, or whatever, that have a phone or whatever, so clean the park, because it's a lot of stuff. I don't have enough people to do it, or whatever. Do it for yourself, take a picture, and we are going to do a budget. You can go to the supermarket, buy food, buy clothes, buy whatever you want, right? So there is like a pay job, but only doing good stuff for your community, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is what I see something good to do, and I think that probably, hopefully, we can do something really good in the future with that app.
Yeah. Well, it sounds, my brain was going like 1,000 miles an hour with all of my ideas with thinking of stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I completely lost my train of thought, because I was thinking about how you guys could monetize that, and different variables you could go into.
Yeah. So the monetize is a bit quite challenging. So for for when you sell it to the university, this thing is fine, because they pay you and that's it. But for the rest, what we want to try to do is get a percentage of what they put for the event, for example, but not too much. So the point is that when you generate these tickets, then we take a percentage, right? For example, if you net with, but always really, really low, enough to maintain the company and maintain this kind of thing. And we never ever take anything when you make a donation for NGOs or this kind of thing. Only when you turn to budget to buy something, for example.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to move on to a different topic, because
Sure.
So you've gone from being like a coder developer into more of then a managerial role, right? So now at Bally's, you're basically head of your department.
Yes.
How has that transition been from being a developer to then managing people? We touched on it in our first call when we spoke for each other. How's that transition been, and how do you see other developers coping with moving into managerial roles?
That's really hard movement, right? Because it's completely different. So the thing is, you need to think about what is the path of your career that you want to follow, right? So because if I have people, or I have worked with people before, that they just want to code, that's it. So then you are going to know that you're going to be stuck in the same position, but people is happy with that. Just want to go, don't have responsibility, and it's fine. And I respect that. It's perfectly fine. So it's really relaxed, right? You just take it, you go, do it, and that's it. So, but I have some discussion with people that is mid-level, for example, because this in each company is different, right? So each company have a different approach. But in our company, when you want to be a senior engineer, you need to have not only good coder, you need to teaching people, because what they expect from senior people is be the lead of the path of the career or of the who is coming, right? So then if a mid-level need to learn from them, they need to do pay sessions, they need to do all of this stuff to make sure that they understand or learn from him or her, right? So that's the point. So the point is that, and for to do that, you need to have these soft skills to make sure that you communicate properly, that you teach properly, because the coders, we have really fragile ego, right? And then we need to make sure that we use the correct word or the correct way when we try to teach people in some areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
For
Or
example,
giving feedback or something like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
For example, it's really common to give our feedback in pull requests. Pull request is when you, for example, write a feature or write something that you want to do, then you move your code to the cloud, we can say, and then the rest of the members can read the code that you want to integrate in the project, right? So then is where all of this stuff is happening. The people write comments, hey, I see this one isn't good, or this one could be better, or it's amazing, or whatever. So that's when the people can feel sometimes take it as personal, right? And then you learn some tips that can help to manage this stuff, that you need someone that teach you how to do it, because it's quite hard to learn, from yourself, right?
Yeah.
For example, we have some rules that maybe could be if you want to write more than X comments, it's better to do a pairing review. Which means call to them, call the guy that did this review, see the code together and explain why. Because your ego could be a really hard when you see that someone writes in your feature like 20 comments. You can say, oh gosh, man, what I did so wrong. So, right. So then this could be feel a bit of personal, right? So then we need to make sure that all of this feedback is in the good way, and everything. This is when all of the soft skills come. And it's so important to learn, because you need to think about that when you are more high in the scale or the path of your career, you are going, I always say the same, you are more far for your ID, where you code, and you are more close to PowerPoint and Excel. that's your career, right? So then when you are more close to this PowerPoint or spreadsheets, is because you need to explain to not technical people what the technical people is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have soft skills to do that and learn how to do it or communicate properly. Why? Because if you go to stakeholders or some bosses or whatever, you try to say, oh, that's complex. They can think, man, that's going to take me like 1 year and £1,000, but means that maybe you need to do something else, but take a month or whatever. So you need to adapt your words to make sure that everything that you communicate is properly communicated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, you have a problem.
Yeah, and you're communicating to two completely different
Worlds.
two completely different worlds. Like
Yeah.
the hardcore developer,
Yeah.
and then to like a C-level, a CEO of a big corporation,
Yeah.
and you're like, there's so different techniques on how you have to approach them, how you have to speak. There's a really good book, actually. I know you probably don't have any time to read with your schedule, but there's a really good book called "Never Split the Difference," and
Yeah.
it's it's like it basically illustrates all of the different FBI techniques on. Actually, it's from hostage negotiation, but then they put it into a book into like real life situations and how you can adapt it to negotiate
Yes.
with your boss, or to negotiate with that one colleague that just doesn't take feedback well, and he's always passive aggressive, and that's
Yeah.
a very coder trait, I think, is the passive aggressive
Yeah.
trait. It's always amusing,
I know.
always hard to deal with, but yeah, I would 100% recommend that book to you. It's a cracker.
Great. I will check.
Okay. Well, we're coming up to an hour. And I'm just trying to think what else we wanted to discuss, because we've gone over a little bit of the company briefly, probably for 20 minutes, but still, we got a little bit deep into our personal lives
Yeah.
at the start. But yeah, I think we can begin to wrap it up. And so, what is the vision then moving forward? So we talked about how it's going to grow slowly.
Mhm.
What is the next 3 to 5 years looking like for your growth, and what are you putting in place to keep growing and hopefully someday do it full time?
So the major problems that we need to solve is get enough clients, change a little bit my business model, right? So at the when I growing in the career in the in the process, right? So ideally, what I want to do now is hire people that can sell our services. So find people that need our help and try to make sure that we can help them and try to get a bit of money from that point, and not just people that refer another people that come to us. That's the first step. When we will have that, so we try to get people or have people fix it in our company, because actually our company is a bit weird, to be honest. So because the people that is working with us is people that usually have second job, right? It's like a second job.
Yeah.
So then we always use really high seniors for to do that, that take extra time for the free time that they use for the projects that we need. So we are on demand company, to be honest, like in that way. So one come, we find the people. Take me like 1 week to find a project manager that is have the expertise in that aspect, because to be honest, the last 5 years always is almost the same people that the same topics that the people want to build or apps is pretty similar. So then we have a really huge network where we can access to them quite fast, and then take me like 1 week to collect all of the teams that we need to for one project. So when we get enough projects or a stable flow of new projects, we try to hire that people that we was working in the past all the time, full time in our company. And when we do that, then we are going to increase our profit margin, because we pay really well to everyone, and who has less is me, because we try to make sure the client is really happy, and the people that work with us is paid fairly, so they pay well. So then my margin is so low. So then the intention with that is create a better margin. In when we have this better margin, then we can fully be in that company and leave maybe the rest or whatever. But until arrive that point, I'm going to need to continue growing slowly. But the idea is to do that when I have the same income from that company that I have in my current job, just switch, and that's it.
Yeah, that's actually the threshold that I was looking for as well. It's like as soon as I'm consistently, I'd say like 3 months
Yeah,
earning
exactly.
similar or the same,
Yeah,
then I think it's worth the risk, because you're lucky with your expertise. You could easily jump back into a very well paid corporate job. So it's kind of your skills are always going to be needed, is basically what
yeah,
I'm saying. So
yeah,
I think my advice, my advice would be definitely go for it at some point.
absolutely.
100% with obviously calculated risk, as you would, being the warrior. But that one other thing, how are you gonna? What is your thoughts or your strategy on getting new clients? Then, what does that look like?
So our strategy is, I'm not expert, so to be honest. So that's why I try to hire people that do it for me. But I did some things before, and I would like that these people that is joined to us do the same. Because I don't want to sell things. I want to help people.
Hmm.
And what I'm doing is go to these incubators, these events where the entrepreneurs is going there and need help, and then first have conversation with them, try to understand what they needs, because before to sell something you need to understand what they need, right? So try to understand what they need, and if we can help them do it, right? So that's the strategy. The strategy is quite simple. Is find where all the entrepreneurs are, try to speak with them, see what we can do, and that's it.
Okay. I think I've got a couple of ideas for you that we'll take offline as well.
Oh
But
man, that's great.
yeah, I think I've got some really cool ideas that if well, I like to think I've got a little bit of expertise in that, seeing as I've been doing it for 10 years.
That's
But
great.
I think offline we can talk about that. But we're kind of at 1 hour and 10 minutes. So, mate, thank you
Absolutely.
very much for joining me.
No
And
problem.
well, we'll clip this up. And well, thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.